Hello and welcome to another episode of Open Plus Sec. I'm Ali and I'm with your boy 24. He needs no introduction, you already know who he is. And today we'll be going through some open source security news and we'll also be talking about some very interesting topics like the GitHub Bug Bounty program, and also we'll be talking about is GitHub open source and why or why not. 24, what news do you have for me?
All right. Good day, everyone. The news on my own end here might not be very open source security, but it's a phishing attack that happened on that affected the OpenSea NFT marketplace. So I'm very sure the crypto guys or the guys in the web are very familiar with this. It's a marketplace where you buy and sell NFTs. So now, because I think that's the largest market for NFT, users were getting prompted message, phishing emails on their emails that's very branded, like the email you get from the real OpenSea, and it's just prompting them to just click on access now. But the end goal of what these attackers want is to drain your wallet. And previously, it's a phishing attack. OpenSea, that's the name of the platform or the marketplace. You just need to be careful if you are trading NFT. So obviously, phishing attack can be very sophisticated. Sometimes might be underrated, but it can be sophisticated in terms of the end goal and the results or the kind of impact it will make. So that's the news from my own end. I don't know what you have on your end.
Yeah, so there's some good news. It's not like super recent, but it's still relevant. OpenSSF, which is the Open Source Security Foundation, has announced an expansion of its free course. So they already have like a free course for developing secure software. So they've expanded it to now include interactive learning scenarios and to help developers build software that's preventing cyber attacks and stuff like that. So helping to build secure software, and they have like hands-on learning and stuff like that. It's very free and available on the Linux education platform. I think the content actually is also available for free on GitHub, so you can go there to check to look at the content and also the scenario, like the lab as well. So I think it's quite interesting, and if you're interested in like building secure software, you can check it out. I think that's it for news for today. Let's go ahead and jump into the GitHub Vulnerability Disclosure Program, or they call it Coordinated Vulnerability Disclosure Program. You can access it through bounty.github.com. So 24, is there anything that you wanted to say specifically about this program?
Yes. So because of how committed GitHub is to open source, I think this is a solution for guys who are security researchers or even hackers who need to make a living for themselves. Now have a coordinated disclosure program specifically for GitHub, because you realize that there are hundreds of thousands of people on GitHub and who is trying to make these things very secure, and giving the community an opportunity for them to also make earnings, to have many eyes on the product or have many eyes on the project itself, which is GitHub now. Even though there is scope, before we get started, I don't want to dig into it right into it. So I think we could just show the guys how it's run, how the platform is, where do you even check for scopes, how do you submit the vulnerability, what can you even test, because obviously there's a scope for you to follow and there are rules of engagement. Red teamers will be very familiar with this. Obviously, you know that for you to be able to say you want to hack into a program or hack into a network, you must follow the rules of engagement, and that rules of engagement is openly available for every researcher. It's a good thing for the community, because now you tend to find people who just feel like, what do I need to do, or how do I need to contribute? How can I contribute? This is another way of contributing. So how can I also contribute to open source? Because one way or the other, if you're trying to make GitHub secure, if you're trying to find vulnerabilities on GitHub, you are also making it available. That is the third pillar of cybersecurity. You're making it available for other engineers, software developers, whoever is using GitHub, for them to be able to continue to use GitHub. So, and at the same time get a reward. And that's the most sweetest part of it. Get rewarded. And while we're checking through, or while we're taking you through the whole platform today, and the last time I checked it, I think I was saying some persons got rewarded 2 days ago, 3 days ago, 5 days ago. So which makes people this is an evidence to show you that, to tell you that people are actively engaging on it, people are actually getting rewarded, and let me just spin everything. So yeah, that's everything for or that's some part of it that I want to disclose now before we dig into it properly.
Yeah, thanks for that summary 24. So yeah, we're going to just dive right into the program. So the bug bounty program it's quite interesting because for any like critical vulnerabilities, like you can get up to $30,000 or even more if you found like a critical vulnerability within GitHub. And of course they have their rules and scopes and targets. But you can see for critical vulnerabilities, 20,000 to 30,000 plus, meaning it can go even higher than that. So anything relating to like remote code execution on a server in their production network, being able to do SQL injection, bypassing the login process, like account takeover and stuff like that, being able to access sensitive user data in their production systems or access to their internal systems, accessing another user data in GitHub Actions. And for high, if you're able to do something like your cross-site scripting, bypassing authorization to like get more access than is intended, sensitive information that is disclosed publicly, so information disclosure, being able to overwrite a repository or package, getting access to a resource, but it's a non-critical resource. So your mediums are looking at things like, bypassing cross-site request forgery protection, disclosure of titles of issues in private repos, stuff like code execution within a client's app, but this requires like user interaction and stuff like that. And then low ranges between like $617 to $2,000. So it shows that like they really take the security seriously. But I mean, if you think about it, like GitHub is a platform where lots of organizations and individuals, large, small, enterprise, government, they store their code and their development pipelines on like using GitHub. So any kind of compromise on GitHub is bound to have like a huge impact, and that's why their bug bounty program has like such high rewards. And you can see they're like basically every subdomain on that github.com is in scope except all these ones, and everything on that GitHub assets is in scope, GitHub user content, GitHub app, and all this stuff, webhooks, npm as well. And they've listed some of the targets here and also like the rules of engagement. So here it's talking about like make sure you've looked at the target so you don't do something that's out of scope. They have their contact details if you have anything that you're not sure of, and rules around like reporting and getting rewards. So if we go to the actual bug bounty program, it's on HackerOne. And it also has like details about it here and like your what's it called, overview, like the rules of engagement as well. But let's look at the activity. I don't have H factor. That's how HackerOne spelled it. It's a pun. Anyway, I'm going to filter it by the ones that have been disclosed, just so we can have a perspective on what's currently going on. Okay, there's a recent critical that was recently rewarded. Here you're able to like log into any user account by bypassing SAML signature verification. Oh, come on, I already filtered it. I don't know why you're going back to the previous state. Here there's some information leakage where in GitHub Enterprise Server, an attacker can upload an assets URL that will allow the attacker to retrieve information on any user that clicks on the URL and then exploit it that way. Let's go through one more, looking for something that's interesting. Oh, everything here is interesting, to be honest. So here with GitHub Copilot, this guy was able to like exfiltrate source code and data using GitHub Copilot due to secure insecure handling of outputs in Copilot interfaces. If you're able to do like a prompt injection attack that results in exfiltration of that data. And yeah, this got rewarded as a low. Did they disclose how much? Okay, they hit the bounty. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Unless 24, is there anything else you want to add or anything you think we should go through before we move ahead?
I think that's cool because every information is here. It's just simple bounty.github.com. No, am I correct?
Yeah, bounty.github.com.
Yeah,
And go to HackerOne and search for like GitHub's
search for
program.
Yeah, so I like this. I like the fact that it's an interesting program. The fact, they have. I'm sure they have their own internal team. Even though, when we move into talking about is GitHub open source, I think we can also chip in a little bit about the two types of open source and just to make it clearer, just to make it clearer for me. So it's a very, very interesting thing. Very motivated to contribute to open source in terms of community service. At least this is something we do for reward, and even though contributing to open source has its own reward, might not be monetary ASAP, just like this one. And even the whole reporting thing, it's a process. It's not like, you found this, you get reward immediately. It has to be vetted, it has to be checked. That, okay, this is something that is actually one, within scope, two, valid, three, there are many other reasons, three, you actually, moving to the next one. I think, I give you the honor to ask you the question. Is GitHub open source?
No, GitHub is not open source. And that might seem counterintuitive because GitHub is all about open source. They provide platform for open source, both closed and open source software, and but GitHub, the platform itself, isn't open source. Git, which is the actual version control system or protocol, Git itself is open source, right? So you can actually go and find like the source code of Git itself. But again, Git is just the system that's being used by GitHub, GitLab, Bitbucket, and the rest of them. In fact, you can have like a Git repository without even interacting with GitHub at all. So those are two separate things. But the platform itself that is wrapped around GitHub is not open source. And I actually read an article where one of the founders of GitHub was talking about how actually, is it one of the founders? No, he isn't. He's one of the engineers that worked there for about 5 years, and he eventually worked at GitLab as well. So he kind of has that perspective on both of them. And according to him, he said, for GitHub, it's like one of the factors was challenges in managing external contributions, right? Like if it's open source, yes, you have the benefit of getting contributions from everywhere around the community, and that allows you to grow very fast, and it allows you to leverage that side of things. But for them, they just didn't want to go through the challenges of managing that that side of things, the external contributions. And they were talking about competitive concerns because of the commercial landscape. But again, there are lots of open source companies out there that are still making a profit. So it just depends on the approach really, and they chose the approach of making it the platform itself closed source. And yeah, they've been quite successful anyway. So can't really fault them for taking that approach. But yeah, GitLab on the other hand is fully open source. Their own approach is more about transparency and
Hi Ali. So I wanted to just add a little bit of maybe backstory with Git.
Yeah, you said you want to add to the backstory.
Yes, I think a few days or a few weeks ago, I watched one of the interviews of Linus Torvalds. That's the founder or builder of Linux and Git. So talking about Git itself, what prevented the whole from the conversation, I can remember I said why he what prevented the whole Git thing was because I say even from Linux, it was the same thing for him, trying to just find that to say, okay, now let me build a project for myself and let's see how it goes. She just was just looking for a he was using Beatkeeper. I think after the free license for Beatkeeper ended, so he just felt like what was the next thing? Well, how could he just find a version control that he could just use, a version control system that he could just use, and all he did was build his own, which was Git, and later transferred it to, is it Julio or Junior? I don't think I'm pronouncing the name very correctly. He transferred the whole maintenance thing to Julio. I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly. So the whole idea of Git itself was open source, or a source that was open. I think that's how you refer to it, as a source that was open. Same with Linux, and it's a very interesting one to see that. Yeah, Julio still was make sure that he was able to maintain it up until the time that it became a very widely used stuff or thing for everyone. So that's just the little backstory I wanted to add, because I watched the TED Talk a few weeks ago, I guess.
Yeah, thanks for adding that. That's actually quite interesting because, yeah, it's interesting how like a hobby project can just turn into a huge thing once people start seeing it, people start seeing the value in it, and then they start using it, and then before you know it, they start contributing, and then it becomes very huge over time. And honestly, personally, I'm grateful for the fact that we have stuff like software like Linux, Git, like there's no company that can monopolize any of these technologies, right? It's like it's open source. What are you going to do? And it's something that gives us more freedom on the internet to be able to do whatever we want to do, and that's what open source is really about at the end of the day. I think that's everything that we wanted to discuss today. Next time, what are we going to be discussing next time? We're going to be discussing. Yeah.
Just speak it.
I'm asking you because I've forgotten.
Oh, okay. Very interesting. So now we understand that in the whole technology industry team, there are rules, regulations, frameworks, policies for almost everything, just so that everybody is within scope and nobody is violating the rule or violating the freedom or data or anything of another person, because entirely everything on the internet is a whole world on its own. Yes, we have Earth and we have the internet. So there are policies guiding the open source world. There are policies guiding the proprietary software store as well. So now, for us to be able to understand, this thing is an open source, but what can you do and what can't you do? And to what extent can you do something to something? Or to what extent can you contribute to a particular project? What can you even contribute? What are the rules guiding this whole open source thing? So I think it's fair for us to now talk about the regulations, policies, and frameworks that are guiding licenses, that are guiding the source world, especially we'll be looking at it from the security perspective. That's one of the major things that matters in everything. Security, open source can be, there's open source in military, there's open source in your environment. So now the open source on the internet, who is the security, who is policing it, and how is it supposed to be policed properly? So we'll be looking at all those some few of the licenses.
Yeah, thanks for giving that summary. I think I'm looking forward to that one because that's another interesting topic, and we are going to be live next week again. There's going to also be a Twitter/X space happening on the 7th of December. 7th of December. So catch us there as well. We're going to have 2 guest speakers, and should be fun. Any final words?
That's everything from my own end. See you guys on the next space, which is December. So we'll be dropping the link on the comment section as well, or rather in the description.
All right. Thanks everyone for listening, and hope you have a good day.